What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Stuart Odin, host of the Villain Arc podcast, and today we are going to be podcasting it up, talking. What do the kids call it today? Chopping it up, and yeah, I'm going to talk about some stuff, and you're possibly potentially going to listen, and that is going to be the next hour of both of our lives. So, isn't that exciting? Yeah, when I start these, I don't really have a plan. I mean, to be honest with you, I was thinking of skipping today. Just tired. I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Why am I fucking talking about that? All right. So actually, I will say one thing, and that is that the videos that I've uploaded to Instagram in the past month have all done pretty well, because the way that I edit them is I do what's called a slop edit, where it's me talking on the top. Below me is and then below me is a like viral video kind of thing, slop basically. People popping pimples or mixing paint together, or just things that are very visually stimulating. Reason I do that is because the parts of the brain that process auditory information and visual information are different. So, oh man, I'm so out of it. This is after a whole coffee. Anyway, the bottom line is that the videos that I'm posting on Instagram are doing pretty well lately. However, there are some that are outliers. And the one that's probably gotten the most attention is the video that I uploaded about being in the Israeli army. So I thought to myself, now the problem with that is that a lot of the attention has been very negative. A lot of people are like, oh my God. These days, Israel has such a bad reputation. The Israeli army has such bad press surrounding it and such bad discussion surrounding it that everybody thinks that every Israeli soldier is like out there just fucking cowboying it up, just headshotting women and children all day, every day, throwing grenades into hospitals and stuff. And, I'm not there, so I can't tell you, oh, it's not like that. Who knows? Maybe it is. If I was a betting man, I would bet no. But I can tell you, when I was in there, it wasn't like that at all. Yeah, you have some guys who are a little unhinged, who maybe had some family members killed in some intifada or something, and they've got an axe to grind for sure. But most of the time, the soldiers in the military are very professional. Anyway, bottom line is that I thought that maybe I could do a whole podcast just talking about the Israeli army and my experience in it. And that would probably make for some clips that got a lot of attention. To my knowledge, there are no Israeli soldiers making YouTube video or making, with a podcast or with posting social media content about what it's really like in the army. There's no Israelis talking about what it's really like in the army. And there's definitely no American-born humans that moved to Israel to join the army talking about their experience. So I definitely have a monopoly on that. I am unique in that sense. So, I mean, yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. Who cares? I mean, I'm doing this every day, so I might as well just come up with some shit. All right. So oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's get down to business. I will talk about how I joined. This is, I've got this video already on my channel, but basically, when I, growing up, I always wanted to be in the Marine Corps. I read a fantasy novel or science fiction novel when I was a little kid, and the main character was a Marine. And I just thought this main character was the coolest fucking guy in the world. So I was like, this guy's cool. He's a Marine. I want to be a Marine. I think I was 10 years old at the time when I read that book. And that I took that attitude with me. That was kind of what I thought to myself and what I said to myself all through high school. Talked to recruiters in high school. I took the ASVAB twice, scored very well. But the ASVAB, honestly, like if you're a white middle class American who kind of even sort of paid attention in school, like you can read and write and do math, you will crush the ASVAB. You will crush it. You can do any job you want in the fucking military. So I took the ASVAB. I ended up taking it twice for some reason. I think because the results expire, or I don't know, whatever. Some reason I took it twice. Scored well both times. Talked talked to a recruiter, and I never pulled the trigger because I didn't have the approval of my parents, and I was a teenager at the time, and I was rebellious, you could say, but I wasn't rebellious enough to just completely openly disobey them. They still had that hold on me, and I wasn't comfortable enough to really just say, fuck you guys, I'm going to do this, tough shit, peace. So I decided to, I'm from Pacific Palisades, the part of LA that burned down recently in the Palisades fires. And back then, if you didn't go to college straight out of high school, you didn't go to a 4-year university. Oh, wait, I did actually go to a 4-year university. My mom filled out all my college applications because I had no desire to go to college. So she got me into U of A, which was at the time very easy to get into. That was like the joke, probably still is. But I got into U of A. I went there for 6 months, and I remember, like, nobody told me what college was like. Nobody told me that I had to go to class and like actually pay attention in class and go to take the tests intentionally. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that high school was very regimented. In high school, there's no option really to not go. Like, where your class is. It's not this gigantic fucking campus. And you go to class and all the same people in class. And if you don't show up to class, like, people notice. In college or at U of A, it's not like that at all. There's fucking auditoriums with 500 people in there, and you never see the same people twice. So I remember, like, in my first week, they give you the card where it says where your classes are. And I couldn't figure out what the building was. And I was so shy and so nervous that I was too scared to ask people where this building was or whatever. So I think for like half of my classes, I didn't even know where they were. And I was too nervous to ask like where they were. So I never went. So bottom line is that I failed out my first semester. Well, actually, really what happened is that I got caught smoking. Well, whatever. Is this a video about the army, or is it a video about me like becoming a loser in high school or college? So bottom line, I fucked around in college and I did not take it seriously, and I ended up getting put on academic probation. I think they either said like, we're kicking you out because your grades are so bad. I think that's what it was. I think I failed that is what it was. I failed too many classes for 2 semesters, and they're like, okay, well, thanks for trying, but we're not going to let you keep going here. They were that bad. I failed out of University of Arizona, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, so I go back home. And in the Palisades, when you don't go to 4-year university, you are going to go to community college. And the community college you are going to go to is Santa Monica Community College. Great school, by the way. Well, great place to spend 2 years to get your like bullshit classes out of the way. It's a beautiful campus, lots of hot girls walking around, good parking structure now, apparently. So I go there, and man, this is just fucking rambling on and on. All right, so we're going to skip ahead a little bit. I said I was going to talk about the army, and all I'm talking about is fucking college. All right, so bottom line, I moved to Israel because I talked to somebody. Oh, man, I am not ready to fucking talk today. Maybe I should save these videos for a day where I'm, like, more coherent. Because I can't, word no good today. But I'll try anyway, because I'm not a quitter. Okay, so one day these are like hard stories to tell. Fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. All right, final answer. Okay, so I'm in my early 20s. Actually, let me turn the air conditioning on. Okay, so I'm in my early 20s. I got busted for drugs a few times. I hate life. I'm going nowhere. I'm a loser. I was also enrolled in Cal State Northridge. And I go to school one day, and I see this like hardcore religious dude, like black hat, black jacket, beard, all this shit. And I'm Jewish, so I just kind of like, I'm walking by on my way to a class, and I see him just like kind of like looking around, like he's like looking for somebody. And I go up to him and I say, can I help you? Like, are you looking for somebody? Whatever. And he's like, are you Jewish? And I said, yes. And he's like, okay, cool. We have a new Chabad house here in the city, and we're looking for Jews to invite to Friday night dinner. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, do you want to come? And for some reason, I said yes. For some reason, I said yes. I'm not a religious guy, grew up in a secular household. My like connection to being Jewish at the time is hanging by a sliver, right? It's like when your parents tell you like, oh yeah, grandma was from Norway, so you're part Norwegian. That's like that. It was that level of connection that I felt to being Jewish. So I'm like, all right. Regardless, I decide to go. I don't have much of a life at the time. I'm kind of a loser anyway, and it was Friday night and I didn't have anything to do. So I agree to go. And that night, and I've never been to a religious Shabbat dinner at Chabad or anything. I don't know what the fuck to expect, right? I thought we're just going to go eat some dinner and talk and just be done with it. So I show up there and I walk in and there's like 3 dudes there. And they've all got the fucking keep on, and they've got these like prayer books and stuff, and they're all doing, you know, this thing, and they're like, that's praying basically. And the wife of the rabbi like comes up to me and like, or no, I think it was whatever. Somebody comes up to me, hands me a book, and it's like, here you go, here's your book. And I open it, and it's all in Hebrew. I don't read Hebrew at the time, and I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, you know. And I'm just like looking at it. I had to fucking stand there for 45 minutes. 45 minutes while they did their whole Friday prayer and all this shit. And I'm like bored out of my mind, already regretting coming. So finally we're done. And we're like, okay, we're all done. You know, let's go let's go into the kitchen or something, in the living room to go eat. I'm like, all right, finally we're going to eat. I'm fucking starving. Cause at this time I'm eating 1 meal a day. And you know, by the time the evening rolls around, I've already like had a crazy workout. I'm fucking hungry. And I just had to stand through 45 minutes of prayer that I didn't understand. So we go in there, and the way that it works, okay, so we go in there and we sit down, and then it's like, okay, we're going to do, I think you do the prayer for the candles, whatever. We do the prayer for the candles. I don't know the fucking prayer. They all know the prayer. We go, and then they're like, okay, let's go wash our hands, which is also some kind of prayer that I didn't know. So everybody goes, and you all go wash your hands before dinner. Come back to the table, and it's dead quiet. Nobody's talking. And I'm new there, clearly very awkward, clearly don't belong. So I'm like trying to make conversation with people. And I say to the guy, I'm like, hey, so, you know, do you go to CSUN? What are you studying? What's your major? Random boring talk. And the guy looks at me, and he's like deer in the headlights look. And I'm like, okay, is there something wrong with me? Like, should I not be talking? And apparently, after you wash your hands, you're not supposed to speak until the prayer for breaking the bread happens. I didn't know this. So it's very awkward for me. So they do the prayer for the bread. They explain to me that you're not supposed to talk until you do the prayer for the bread and you eat a piece of bread. Fine. Then finally I'm like, okay, we're finally eating. Things are going to be good. I'm starving. Finally get to talk to people. Then the rabbi's like, okay, let's sing some songs. And I'm like, fucking A, bro. Are you serious? And there's 5 of us in the room, right? It's me, 3 other guys, the rabbi, and the rabbi's wife. And I'm like, this small room. It's like you could hear a pin drop, and now he wants to sing songs. And so he gets up and he's like, oh, we're going to sing Achen, Blachen, Schmachen. And everybody knows every song. And they're all singing the songs. And I'm just standing there again, awkwardly. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really regretting my decision at this point. I'm thinking to myself, this food better be so fucking good for me to put up with like all of this awkwardness. So finally, it's time to eat. And I've had to sit through the songs. I've had to sit through the prayer, not knowing what the fuck is going on, feeling very out of place. And we sit down, we start eating, whatever, and maybe a minute or 2 goes by, and the rabbi's wife, she says, like, okay, guys, so you know, like, we're a new Chabad house for the university, and we just want to know, like, what are you expecting from us? Like, what can we do to make your college experience better? Really kind of coming from this place of we want to help, but we don't know what to do, so we want feedback from you. And I was like, I have a suggestion. And they're like, yes, you, the guy who's clearly out of place, who doesn't know any of the customs and has never been to anything like this. What would you like? And I was like, look, I'm Jewish, but I don't know all this like religious stuff. I don't know any of it. Like, it's all very uncomfortable. I didn't say uncomfortable. I was like, it's all very new to me. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So if you want to bring in like normal Jewish people like me, because most of them are probably like me, just tone it down a little bit and just have the dinner and some conversations and maybe stuff that is just less like in your face religious stuff. Now, if you know anything about Jewish religious people, I mean, really any religious people, right? You're not going to go to some super religious, like Muslim person who's trying to bring in more Muslim people into the community. And he asks you for advice, and you're not going to say to him like, okay, Muhammad, like, just tone down the religious stuff a little bit. And I think it'll be easier for you to appeal to the masses. That's he's going to hear that and be like, no, that's like defeats the whole purpose. It's the same with Jewish, same with Christian, same with whatever fucking religion you choose. So, they were very polite, to their credit, and the rest of the evening was pleasant. I remember we had some, good conversations. Food was decent. And I remember it was finally time for me to leave. And I like walked out the door and I turned around to make sure nobody was behind me. And I ran back to my car. I was like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of that place. However, the next week I ended up going back. So the next week there's another Shabbat dinner and I am not doing anything again because I'm a loser with no social life. And I'm like, all right, well, let me go again to the dinner thing. But this time I'm going to show up 45 minutes late so that I can skip the prayer that I don't understand anyway and skip all the boring shit. So that's exactly what I do. And I show up there. And when I show up there, it's not like 3 random dudes. There's like 25 people there, right? And I would say probably 75% of them are girls. Packed with girls. And if you're a young 20-year-old dude or 21-year-old dude and you go in and there's like a room full of girls who are talking and happy and looking at you and smiling, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in the right place. So I go in there and there's only one seat in the place. And I go and I take that seat. And I say hi to the people that I know and whatever. And then I don't fucking say anything. And there's chat going on. Everybody's like talking shit, whatever. And the guy next to me, I didn't even realize who was sitting next to me. And the guy next to me, he says something to me and he's like, what did he fucking say? He's like, oh, you're the dangerous one, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, I was in the army. I was a sergeant. I had 20 soldiers under my command. And I can always tell it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for. So I'm like, okay, well, that's an interesting way to start a conversation. And so basically, and remember at this time, I've already been denied by the Marines. I've been denied by the Army. And in my mind, there's no chance that I will ever be able to fulfill my life plan, my childhood dream of having a military experience. For me, that was very important. It wasn't because I was a patriotic American. It wasn't because like I love the flag or I'm from Middle America and I like to shoot guns and I want to serve my country. It was because I knew or I believed I was a fucking loser and I had no confidence and I wasn't manly. And I was like, I'm going to go into the military and they're going to give me those things that I lack. Now, I wasn't able to do that because I had a criminal record. So now I'm like, fuck, I guess I'm just going to be a loser forever. I guess I'm just not going to have those things or I have to think of some other way to develop them. But then I meet this guy and he's like, oh, I'm in the Army. So naturally I start asking him questions. I'm like, oh, where were you in the Army? What did you do? He tells me, oh, I was in the Israeli Army. I was in a Special Forces unit and I was a sergeant. And I could tell that he was like kind of fucked up in the head, Maybe he was just a weird guy, and fucked up in the head is a little harsh, but I could tell that like there was not a screw loose. He was just an intense guy, right? A very intense guy. Maybe he was intense before the Army. I don't know. But I remember talking to him and just like getting this vibe like, yeah, this guy would walk into a room of fucking 20 people and fight them all. Did not give a fuck. And I was like, that's what I need. That's the thing that I need in my personality that I don't have. I need that level of like delusional self-confidence. So I start talking to him, and this is the guy. This is the viral clip that I made. That if I clip it again, everybody's going to get mad at me. But I'm just going to fucking tell the truth anyway, because this is what happened. So he starts telling me about his military experience, and I say, "Wow, that sounds dope. I wish I could do that, but I have a criminal record." And he says to me, he's like, "Bro, you can go over there and tell them you want to join the army. They're not going to call up the local LA police station and be like, we've got this guy here. Did he commit any crimes? Because we're thinking of putting him in the army and we just want to make sure he didn't commit any crimes." They're not going to check. Like your average Israeli soldier, just like your average any soldier anywhere, any person who works in any bureaucracy is going to do the absolute bare minimum possible amount of work so that they can collect their paycheck in 2 weeks and like not stay a minute later than they have to and check out. They're not going to go above and beyond to like do a good job. They don't fucking care. And I didn't know this at the time. You know, you if you're not in the military, if you've never served in any military, you have this idea of how it runs, where it's this like functional, efficient machine where everybody is like, you know, dressed perfectly and everything's polished and shined and people sharp turns and all this stuff. And like, it's not like that at all most of the time. Maybe some units are like that. Maybe some soldiers are like that. But as a whole, it's far from that. But this guy was kind of like that. This guy, he was focused like that. And I was like, all right, there's something here for sure. So anyway, he caught my attention and I was like, well, if that's really the case, if I can really move there. And oh, I remember another thing he said. He's like, dude, if you want to move to Israel, they'll give you $10,000 to move there. Like they will pay you $10,000 to get on a flight and apply for citizenship. And at the time, I'm a broke college student. I've never had $10,000 in my life at one time. I sold drugs. So I had at some point in the aggregate $10,000. But I was like, really? They'll give me just a lump sum of lots of money to go over there and get an extra passport? Okay. He's like, yeah, they will. And then because you're 21, when you go over there, if you apply for citizenship at a certain age, you have mandatory military service. So I was like, wait a minute. So I can go there, get a bunch of money, get an extra passport, and they'll like force me to go into the army? That was like the dream come true for me. And again, it wasn't because I didn't know anything about Israel, dude. I remember at that same dinner, there was a guy who was Israeli. His name was Itai. He passed away from cancer, unfortunately, but he barely spoke English. And I remember talking to him. He might have been the first Israeli person I ever met. And I was like, so what's it like in Israel? Like, do you guys have gyms? Do you guys have like I thought they were like riding camels in Israel. I didn't have fucking any idea. This is before social media. This is before, you know, the internet. I'm not before the internet, but like this is before the average level of knowledge about all kinds of things. Nobody knew anything about anything back then, unless you were particularly interested. Like I think there was AOL at the time. Whatever. So I remember asking Itai, I was like, do you guys have gyms? Do you guys have firefighters? He's like, yes, of course we do. Of course, it's Israel. So I didn't know what to expect, but he's like, this guy that I was talking to, the Israeli soldier, his name was Sam. And Sam was like, yeah, man, listen, on Monday, call the Jewish agency, tell them you want to make Aliyah, tell them you want to move to Israel. They'll call you into the office. You'll start doing all the paperwork. And that's it. You'll move over there. Everything will be fine. And I was like, dude, I mean, you think I'm joking right now, but I'm absolutely going to do that. And he was like, I believe you, but I'm going to make sure that you do. I'm going to make sure you don't bitch out. And so we just had this like really good connection right away. And then I even remember like after dinner, he's like, you know, come to my, like, let's leave. Let me know when you're going to leave and let's go to my place. And I want to show you some stuff. And so we went back to his place. He showed me like his old uniform. He showed me his passport. He showed me he kept like some bullet casings from some fucking terrorist he killed or whatever. Back then it was different, right? This operation right now in Gaza, there's never been anything like this where they go in and flatten every single fucking building. This is unprecedented. Okay, back in the day, it's not like that. Like you go in, tactical team, you get the one guy who like is smuggling people across the border, or who's like planning a terror attack or whatever. You go, you snipe that guy, you bring him out, and that's it. There's none of this like we're gonna bulldoze the whole fucking Gaza Strip. So it was different back then. But anyway, I'm amped. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I can. It's actually at this point I've been arrested twice. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. To me, it seems like my only choice is to go to fucking state college and study a bunch of dumb shit that I don't give a fuck about. I was a philosophy major. So what am I going to do with that? I'm going to go teach philosophy. I'm too dumb for that. So I'm stoked. I called the Jewish agency and they asked me to come down, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I want to go join the army. How does it work? What papers do you need from me? Anyway, they told me to get some papers. I had to get a letter from a rabbi proving I was Jewish. I had to, I think, get some letters of recommendation. I think, birth certificate, just like random basic stuff. The bar is pretty low if you want to move to Israel. If you're Jewish, right? If you're Jewish, bar is super low. You go in there, you say, I want to move there. Here's my papers. Here's a letter from a rabbi saying I'm Jewish. Okay, come on down. You're good. Here's 10 grand. I think actually you get more than 10 grand. I think it might be 20. You know, because you need money to start a new life. All right. So I moved down there. I get on my plane. I move to Israel. And my plan, I had no plan, basically. But I would tell everybody that I met, I'm here to join the army. Yes, I moved to Israel. I'm here to join the army. Everybody I met, oh, what are you doing in Israel? Why did you come here? Are you a student? Are you this? Are you that? I was like, nope. I'm going to join the army. That's what I'm going to do. And I was living on a kibbutz at the time. And the manager of the, it's called, So you go to a kibbutz. All right, you move to Israel. And you are Oleh Hadash, which means new immigrant. You have new immigrant status. Now, the difference in Israel between their immigration program and like an American immigration program, for example, is that in Israel, they try to set up the immigrants to succeed right away. Now, I'm not an American immigrant. I don't know exactly how it works, but in Israel, you go there. Number one, they give you a bunch of money to they'll give you a stipend for a car. If you're married and have kids, you get more money. You don't pay taxes on renting an apartment and all this shit. Like you get a lot of breaks for about 5 years. And they teach you Hebrew. You get free Hebrew classes because you need to speak Hebrew over there. And they just really help you out. So the manager of the program for new immigrants on the kibbutz that I was staying at, she knew that I wanted to join the army. And one day she comes to me and she says, hey, there's a program for new immigrants who want to join the army. And I can put you in touch with their director because they start in a month. And I know you always talk about it. And I worked super hard when I was on the kibbutz. Like my mindset was like, I'm going into the army. It's going to be really hard. I need to like toughen myself as much as possible so that when I go in there, I'm not depressed and obliterated from how hard it is. This is what I thought. So when I got to the kibbutz, I was like, I want you to give me the toughest job possible. What's the hardest job on this kibbutz? I want you to give me that. And the job they gave me was the dishwasher in the cafeteria. Now, dishwasher, not like that hard of a job, but this place had like 2,000 people living on it. So there's a difference between a dishwasher at a restaurant that has like 25 tables and the dishwasher at a cafeteria that has 150 tables. Whatever. Anyway, the point, I go to interview at the program. Honestly, dude, I'm going to post these videos on Instagram. They're going to get so much fucking hate because people are going to be like, oh my God, there's a program that recruits war criminals for Israel. Oh my gosh, they're just out there just bazooka shooting fucking women and children. They're so bad. Whatever, I'm going to tell my story. Like, here's the deal, Israel, all right? You watch this, you're an Israeli politician or you work for the Israeli government. Let me give you a fucking tip, okay? You need to devote more money to managing your PR, okay? Period. End of story. Israel has the worst reputation possible, and they make no effort, zero effort at all, to manage their PR, like none. Zero. So guess what? You don't like these videos that I'm making about my experience, and I'm authentic. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. And guess what? This is fucking social media. People are going to latch on to the bad and the ugly. And they're not going to talk about the good. Nobody cares about that. That's not going to get views. So if you don't like it, go fucking make some fucking, go figure it out. Go figure out, go hire a publicist, anything, hire a reputation manager. It's not, Israel is full of such intelligent people. It's jam packed with crafty, intelligent, devious people, who try to find advantages everywhere. You can figure out a way to sway public opinion. You absolutely can. It's not going to happen in a day. It'll take some years, but you need to devote some time to that and some energy. All right, anyway. So I go down to Tel Aviv and I meet with this guy who's in charge of a program that helps new immigrants join the military on the fast track. Now, this isn't just for any new immigrant. Like Pavel from fucking some shit town in Russia is not going to join this program. This program is for tier 1 Westerners who come here and want to join the program with all sorts of perks and benefits and field trips and special classes and creme de la creme, right? And so I go in there and I talk to him and I say, I'm just very honest. And I say, listen, I came here to join the army. I don't care. I'm going to join with you or I'm going to join with somebody else. If you have a place for me, great. If not, I'm still going to join anyway. So, and he just talked to me a little bit. He saw I was serious. He was like, okay, we have a spot that opened up. It's going to start in a month and I'm going to put you with these people and blah, blah, blah. So he puts me with the East Coasters. I'm from LA, but the groups that year, there were 4 groups. One from the West Coast, one from the East Coast, one that was European, and I think one that was, I don't remember what the other one, maybe a mix or something. I don't know, whatever. They put me with the East Coast people. Now, I'd never spent this much time with East Coast people in my life, but compared to LA, where I'm from, East Coast people are very direct and very intense, right? There were a lot of them were New Yorkers and from New Jersey. I think I've met one person from New Jersey in my entire life at that point. But these people were fucking straight to the point. Right away if they like you or if they don't like you. And if they don't like you, they're going to fucking tell you. So it was very refreshing because being from LA is not like that at all. LA, people from LA have a reputation for being fake. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think fake is the right word. I think the right word is that they like to avoid direct confrontation. And so if that means they might lie or they might pretend to like something that they don't like, or they might, agree to make plans and they don't really want to make plans just because they want to make the other person not feel bad, they're going to do that. So I joined this program and I remember on the first day I show up there and it's basically everybody in our group, 25 people there. Pretty much everyone was the son or daughter of an Israeli couple that moved abroad, had a kid, and the kid was so, in touch with their Israeli identity that they're like, when I grow up, I'm going to go serve in the army because that's what Israelis do. It's a conscription service. There's a lot of pride in being in the army over there, especially if you're from, if you're Israeli, you move abroad, you talk about, oh, when I was in the army, we did this and we did that. And it's just this source of pride, I guess, and stories that you tell that sound kind of cool because obviously people are going to gloss over the bad stuff and they're only going to tell the good stories. But for whatever reason, 25 people there who basically speak Hebrew and have this very strong Jewish and Israeli identity. And then there's me, who's secular kid, doesn't know a word of Hebrew, is barely Jewish, is Jewish, he has brown hair, okay, I have brown hair, fine. I'm not I'm a brunette and I love having brown hair. Okay, it's there, that's what it is. So anyway, it was a little bit tough at first because all these people are speaking Hebrew. I didn't speak Hebrew at first. I tried. I went to classes and I learned and I studied and I took notes because I knew that in the army, you have to speak Hebrew. They're not going to speak to you in English. Although I found out later on that some of the guys that didn't learn Hebrew in other programs, they the commanders and stuff would speak to them in English because number one, Israelis love to practice their English. And number two, at some point, you got a guy with a fucking gun. You got to tell him what to do. If he doesn't understand you, could be a life or death moment. You might have to break out your fucking broken English to get him to be like, you go there shooting. It's my Israeli accent. Okay. So, oh, these videos are going to get so much hate. I already know. I don't care. Whatever. Doesn't matter anyway. I'm in fucking Thailand. What are you going to do? You're going to come to Bangkok and like, you're bad. You're going to leave a mean comment on my video. Ooh, a mean comment. Oh no, what am I going to do? What, you're going to call up the Thai government to be like, excuse me, Sarandeep, there's a guy living in Bangkok there. I just want you to know he was in the Israeli army and he's making videos about it. Go knock on his door and be mean to him, please. It's all just bullshit internet stuff. All right, whatever. So I get into the program and I am a gung-ho military wannabe at this point. And as a gung-ho military wannabe, I would ask everybody, I was like, what's the best unit in the army? What's the number one unit? Because I didn't want to just go and join some shit unit or get a desk job or something. I was like, I came all the way here. I gave up my whole life. I want to go and at least have a chance to try out for the best unit. So it's like, what's the best unit? And they say, Sayeret Matkal, which is like Delta Force, right? They're probably not as good as Delta Force. I mean, what the fuck do I know? I don't know. But Delta Force is on another level. But it's the same in the sense that I might be wrong about this, but Delta Force is they're the unit of the executive branch, I think, right? Like the president can say, okay, you go kill this guy, and it's Delta Force who goes because that's who the president commands, right? And so Sayeret Matkal is the same thing. It's like they respond to the prime minister. Like that's who's in charge of them. So I was like, all right, Sayeret Matkal. But the problem is that the tryouts for the top three units, which is Sayeret Matkal, which is Delta Force, Shayetet, which is Navy SEALs, and Shaldag, which is like the Air Force version of the Special Forces, which is like, what would the equivalent in America be? Gosh, I don't know. Maybe there is no, I'm sure there is an equivalent. Special Forces in the Air Force, whatever the fuck it is. That tryout for those three units had already passed and I missed it. So I was like, okay, what's the next best unit? Like, what's the unit after that is just like the most badass fucking people, like the most hardcore dudes that you would never want to fuck with? And they told me they're like Duvdevan, right? Now, Duvdevan in Hebrew means cherry. I don't know why they call them cherry, but that's the name. And Duvdevan was basically the people, like they are the house-to-house experts in hand-to-hand combat, and not like kung fu matrix type stuff. Like, like John Wick, like killed him with a fucking pencil. That's Duvdevan. That's how hardcore they were. And I was like, all right, I want to join Duvdevan. How do I join Duvdevan? And they're like, well, to join Duvdevan or to try out for Duvdevan, you need to get into Tzanchanim first. And I was like, what the fuck is Tzanchanim? And they're like, it's the paratrooper unit, right? So Israel, they have multiple battalions, and one of the battalions is the Airborne Battalion, aka the Paratrooper Battalion. I was like, all right, fine. How do I sign up for that? And they're like, okay, well, you need to go here for one day, and it's a 1 day tryout, and it's 4 hours, and you have to just go and prove that you're like motivated and hardcore and not quit after 4 hours of physical work. So me and like 5 or 6 other guys from my program, we sign up, we go one day, and we were fucking animals, dude. We took that place by storm. We fucking, I don't even know how to say it. We were just monsters. We were like, so the stuff that they make you do, sprint back and forth here and there, whatever, do push-ups. And then the most like intense thing that they make you do is they give you a stretcher, right? Like a stretcher in the fucking hospital, and they put sandbags on top of it. And you have to carry the stretcher with sandbags on it. And it's really heavy. And it's I guess, to simulate you being in a combat situation and having to take your wounded comrade on the stretcher and run him the fuck out of there so that you can save his life. Okay. And we crushed that shit. Crushed it hard. We all got in. We were fucking monsters. Like, we want all those American guys now. So we got into Tzanchanim, no problem. All right. So then it's like, okay, well, how do you get into Duvdevan? Well, you have to join Sanchanim first. So we got into the paratrooper unit. We're all paratroopers now. Boom, just like that. A month later, well, okay, when you actually end up going into the army, the first couple days where they're doing the intake or whatever, you have the option to do what's called a Gibbush. A Gibbush, the translation means like crystallization. It doesn't translate exactly, but it's basically like a 3-day test where you go and they try to fuck with you mentally and you do a lot of physical shit and you don't sleep and you have to do all these challenges and all this, physical stuff to test you to make sure that you are good enough to join the unit. And I remember what people told me. They're like, listen, you're going to do the Gibbush. And this was a hard one. This was not 4 hours of like running back and forth. This was like 3 days of mental manipulation and little challenges and quizzes and stuff that was designed to make you quit. And the people that told me, everybody just told me, they're like, don't quit. Whatever you do, don't quit. Doesn't matter. You can be last every time. You can be the slowest. You can be the fattest. Do not quit. They're going to try and make you quit. Don't quit. So I'm like, okay, I won't quit. Now, you go into the Gibbush, you go into tryout for these special forces units, and it's a lot of physical stuff. So in the army, they give you boots. You don't just show up in your fucking tennis shoes. They assign you military grade leather boots. And I'd never worn leather boots in my life. I don't know that you need to like break in leather boots. I don't know that with leather boots, you need to order 2 sizes smaller than your shoe size. And my shoe size is American. These leather boots are in fucking European sizes. I don't know how to do the conversion. Was there Google back then? I don't even think there was Google. 2006? I don't know. Whatever. So bottom line is that my boots for the Special Forces tryout were 4 sizes too big. I wear 42. My boots were 46. I was like, well, what's size 12 and a half? 46. Okay, I'll give me 46. And so I got 46 and I ended up wearing these giant boots. They were like fucking clown shoes, right? This much extra space in my toe, and every time I took a step, it was like a clown taking a step. Not fun. So that's number one. Number two is that when you have that much extra space in your shoe and you take a step, your foot is going to slide around. And if you take a step like this, you go heel toe like that, your foot slides forward. And when you bring your heel up like this, the back of your heel is going to scrape against the back of the boot. Now, if you wear them for 30 minutes, that's fine. You don't notice anything. But when you wear them for 3 days and you're running around and you're fucking sweating, you're going to have a chunk of skin ripped off your heel that is this big on both heels, and it's going to hurt like a motherfucker every time you take a step. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I go to this tryout. My boots are too big. I don't speak Hebrew. Everybody's running back and forth. The instructors are... And here's the insidious thing, is that they give you numbers, right? They give everybody a number. There's 25 guys in our group. There's a bunch of different groups. And I was number 22, let's say. The numbers are assigned randomly. And they would say, they would be like, okay, everybody sprint there and then come back. And they'd be like, okay, who was first? And they'd be like, number 6. And the guy who's first is always first, right? The overachiever. And he's like, oh, number 6 was first. And he's like, okay, number 6 was first. And he would go through the whole thing like, and then who was last? And I was last every time. Every single time for every single thing, I was dead last. And it's demoralizing. I'm not an out of shape guy. I wasn't a fat guy at the time. I was fit. I was training hard. I was working hard. I was like, I got to be in this special unit. And I was super motivated. But I had these fucking clown shoes on and I couldn't run. And my heels were torn up. So after a while, they just stopped asking who was last, just to fuck with me. They were like, okay, this person, and then, yeah, all right, so it was these 2 guys, and then, okay. And they wouldn't even say who was last. And be like, we know who was last. They'd say shit like that. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are trying to make me quit. So I didn't quit, bottom line. I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I finished the whole thing. Fine. Then they take you to the interview, right? Now, I didn't know at the time that the interview is where they really make the decision on whether or not they're going to let you into the unit. So I go to the interview and I am demoralized. I am like depressed because in my mind, I think I've lost. I'm like, oh, I showed up. I got last every time. There's no way they're going to pick me. I don't speak Hebrew. I would find out later on that stuff doesn't really matter because you can learn Hebrew and you can get in better shape. But what they are really looking for is that you have the type of personality that is going to fit the unit. And the unit that I wanted to join, Duvdevan, the super hardcore, badass John Wick unit, their whole thing was that you have to look out for the other guys in your unit. That was their whole thing, is like your friends, the other guys in your unit, like you guys got to work together. You guys got to have each other's back. You got to fucking help each other, and you got to be like brothers. And so, you know, I'm not incapable of that, but I didn't know that going into the interview. And I go to the interview and the guy asks me, he's like, hey, so where are you from? Ask me the basic surface level questions. And I tell him, you know, I'm from America. I decided to come here, move to Israel, join the army, blah, blah, blah. And they say to me, they're like, oh, okay, well, what about your friends in America? I mean, weren't you sad to leave your friends in America? And the correct answer would have been, yes, of course I was sad to leave my friends. Of course I miss them, but I have to do my childhood dream, and it was to join the army and blah, blah, blah. So here I am, and, you know, I just have to make the most of it. I'll make new friends here, something like that. That was the correct answer. What I said instead, because I was demoralized, is I was like, my friends, fuck my friends. They're a bunch of losers. They're not going to do anything like this. And the guys heard that. They looked at each other and they're like, okay, well, thank you very much. We'll let you know. And I really shot myself in the foot there. And I really just kind of fucking blew my chances. And I would realize this later on because I had a very good Australian friend who actually got into Duvdevan. And he would tell me later on, like, it's all about your friends. It's all about sharing stuff with your friends and taking care of them and having their back and sticking up for them and all this stuff. So I didn't get in there, and I ended up going to just a basic infantry unit. It's called the Gdudim. And the basic infantry unit, I'm not saying this is where all the retards went, because the unit that I was in was pretty good. But like, this is where all the people who like quit the special forces tryouts went. All the people who were like good physically, but like had a screw loose a little bit. Like they weren't the right personality fit for the special forces unit. And the unit that I was in specifically was all of these Israelis from like Arab backgrounds. Like we had a Kurdish guy, we had some Iraqi guys, we had some Moroccan guys, we had a Persian guy. We had like a couple Russian guys, because of course you're gonna have fucking Russian guys. And then it was me and two other Americans. So thank God I had these two American guys with me. They were very good friends of mine during the army. Solid dudes for sure. And yeah, it was good. So all right, so when I got into the infantry unit, I was mega depressed because I wanted special forces and I didn't get in, and I was like, oh my God, now I have to be here for fucking years and just be some fucking grunt, like not even doing anything cool. And I saw the way that the infantry was run, and I was like, this fucking sucks, dude. This isn't special forces. There's nothing special about this. That's what I thought at the time. Looking back, I realized that it was still good, and it was still good for me, and it still shaped me into a much better person than I was. But at the time, I would never have believed that in a million years. So the first 4 months of the Israeli military is boot camp, or as they call it, tirunut. And boot camp is basically just dumb. I'm not saying it's dumb. It's making you do dumb physical stuff to get you used to following orders, right? Used to following instructions. The whole thing about the basic training in the Israeli army is like, we're going to get you physically in shape. We're going to get you used to doing what we tell you to do. And the most important thing is that they want to get you used to doing things on time. So number one, in the military, everybody needs a watch. You have to go buy a G-Shock watch, and you have to, like, you know, in the TV shows are like, okay, synchronize your watches. I never knew what the fuck that meant, but in the army, you really do have to synchronize your watches, right? Everybody has to have, like, if I look at my watch and it says 6:01, everybody else's watch says 6:01 too. 6:01 as well. Because if the commander tells you, all right, I want you guys to go build a tent and make a fire and clean your gun and blah, 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 and you need to be back here at 7:38, okay? Then you have to go and do those things. And at 7:37, you need to be 7:37 at the latest. You need to be back there, standing at attention, waiting for the commander to come and tell you what the fucking to do next. And that's the purpose of basic training, is to get you used to doing those things. All right, so basic training out of the way. That's that. And I could tell stories about basic training, whatever, but that's the basics of that. Advanced training is where you do the more strategic and more tactical stuff. Advanced training is where people go to special courses. You go to a weapons course, you go to an explosives course, you go to a lockpicking course, you go to, commander's course. A lot of people go. And it's more, the discipline is relaxed a little bit, like the hardcore yelling at you type shit. They tone it down and they have a more relaxed attitude and talk to you a little bit more like a human being. And that's another 3 months. And then after that, that was the worst part, right? You have basic training 3 months, 4 months, advanced training 3-4 months. And then after that, you have, I think it's called Kav Rishon. I think maybe there's another word for it, but you have your first active duty placement, which is usually a checkpoint, which is the worst human experience I've ever had. I mean, it's up there. It's up there. This video is going to get a lot of hate. I know that. I'll tell you that. So I was for our first assignment as a military unit, they put us in Nablus. Right now, Nablus at the time, this is before Gaza got to be a real problem for Israel. Before that, Nablus was the real problem. Right, this is where all the weapons came out of. You had a lot of terrorists coming out of there. I say in quotes, like that's what they call them, is terrorists. Well, we'll call them terrorists, whatever. You had a lot of freedom fighters coming out of Nablus. Okay, a lot of arrests going in there, whatever. The experience of working at a checkpoint is like this. You go there with 6 other dudes and you are there for 8 hours. All right. Now it's in the sun, number one, the hot fucking Middle East sun. And all you're doing is you're standing at a checkpoint and you have thousands of Palestinians who come to the checkpoint. They show you their ID. You look at the ID to make sure it's them. And if it's them, you let them go through. Now, I'm going to tell you, I checked thousands of IDs. The ID never looked like the fucking person who gave me the ID. I don't know if like they all have fake IDs over there or if the IDs are all 10 years old or something, but these motherfuckers don't look anything like their IDs. So whatever. But at that point, nobody cares because it's, the army in Western countries is so much more, I imagine, is so much more tightened up and disciplined than the armies in the Middle East, which is like the whole attitude of Middle Eastern armies is basically like, it's fucking hot. We don't want to work that hard. We're not going to pay that much attention. So like, let's just do the bare minimum to get these fucking, to get done whatever we need to get done. That's maybe oversimplifying it a little bit. And that's actually not 100% correct. So whatever. There is a lot of that as well. It's hot. Let's not work that hard and be done with it. So Nablus fucking sucked because you're standing there for 8 hours. The soldiers don't want to be there. The fucking Palestinians don't want to be there. It's hot. No, these guys don't speak Hebrew. These guys don't speak Arabic. Everybody's mad. One group has guns. Occasionally you have to arrest people and you throw them in a cell. And it's just not like I signed up for the military to go on missions and catch bad guys who are doing bad things is what I thought. I didn't sign up for the military to go fucking stand at a checkpoint and check IDs of civilians, of like, some 33-year-old woman who's going, with her bag of tomatoes and bananas to go like work at her job as a house cleaner in fucking Jerusalem. I don't fucking care about that. That's not why I signed up for the army. I wanted to go learn how to shoot guns, sleep in the mud, go do combat shit, and that would be what built me. But instead, I found myself doing this like fucking civilian checkpoint shit. And I was like, man, this fucking blows. And I got super depressed during that time because I just hated it so much. I hated it. I mean, I was like, my opinion at the time was like, look, well, whatever. it just seemed like a fucking giant waste of time. I mean, I understand why they did it. They got to check people. They got to keep them honest, make sure they don't bring fucking guns back, make sure they don't bring fucking grenades. I remember one time we're at the checkpoint. Just to give you an idea of like the level of inexperience of our unit at the time. We're at the checkpoint, and this one of our soldiers has a bag that he took from one of the Palestinians. He has the bag, and he goes and he brings it over to the officer. And he's like, one of the guys had this in the bag. And he hands it to the officer, and there's 2 fucking grenades in there. 2 like grenades with the pin and everything. And he's like, what should I do with it? And the officer's like, dude, are you fucking serious? Why are you bringing it to me? Like, go put that shit, go throw that shit, you know, off into the fucking bushes, arrest that motherfucker, and bring him to the cell. And, you know, we had a whole big meeting and training thing about it later. And our sergeant told us, our sergeant was a bad dude, man. He was a fucking scary guy. We were all terrified of him. He was this like, he was huge, first of all. Like, I'm tall. I'm 6'1". This guy was 2 inches taller than me and fucking built like a brick shithouse, dude. And he had, he didn't have a lazy eye, but his eyes just like looked weird. And he would like narrow them to little slits. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And he told us later, he's like, if that was me and I checked the bag, I would shoot that guy. If there are grenades in there, like you're not, that's what you do. You don't take chances with that shit. But we were so inexperienced, we didn't fucking, I mean, look, you're at a checkpoint. Imagine you're a fucking security guard and you have a gun, right? And somebody comes up and you're checking people's bags as they go into the movie theater. And you check the bag and there's 2 fucking grenades in there. What are you going to do? You're not expecting that. You're like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do with these grenades? I mean, should I take them? Should I? So he just went and like told the teacher, kind of. Anyway, Nablus was fucking shit, dude. I fucking hated it. We call it Shem. Shem was just awful. And I just got so depressed. I remember, so like Shem and, or Nablus and Hebron are next to each other. And they were like the 2 main cities of the West Bank that had the most action, and they were the most built up and just like the most missions going in and out. I remember one time me and like 4 other guys and this scary sergeant, we got stationed at some fucking base in Hebron. And it was this base like on a mountain. Like this was like in the middle of fucking nowhere, dude. Like it was a hill, right? That they built a base on, not a huge base, small base. Small enough so that like 5 people could man this base. So it's on a mountain, you're overlooking the city, and there's guard towers, whatever. And I remember I was assigned to stay at the base and to like keep watch on the base, and the sergeant was going to take the rest of the team down and like do a search mission or something to make sure there were no bad guys hiding in the bushes to try and kill us or something. And I remember sitting there, and I was just so depressed. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I didn't come here for this. And I just well, actually I didn't start crying. So when you do guard duty in the Israeli military, you're supposed to literally stand there like waiting and looking for bad guys to shoot. Now, spoiler alert, no bad guys ever show up. They never show up. Like 0% of the time they're going to show up and you have to shoot them. So what ends up happening is you just stand there and you wonder why the fuck you made this decision to join the military in the first place. And after a year and you have to guard all the time, even in basic training, you're guarding something. So I'm assigned to this base. He's like, guard this base while we go out and do our little mission. And so in my mind, I'm already like, fuck this shit, dude. You're making me guard this alone. Like, what am I doing here? I just hated it. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to guard this. I'm just going to sit down and just rest, basically. And as I sit down, maybe 5-10 minutes later, the sergeant comes back and he sees me sitting down. And that's like major trouble. Like that's the worst thing that you can do is to when you're on guard duty, just be like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to do it. And just not pay attention to like the terrorists that might come up to you. So he comes up to me and he's like, what's going on? What are you doing? Because he can tell something's wrong with me. And I just lost it. I just started bawling, just like, what am I doing here? I fucking hate this. I didn't sign up for this. This fucking sucks. I don't want to be here. Like this. And he just let me just like get it all out. And I was just like basically hysterical, crying, tears. Like it was, I just totally lost it. And he's like, listen, he let me get it all out, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And this guy was a fucking asshole to me the entire time that I was in the military. I think he just hated me. I thought he hated me. I thought he literally hated my guts. And now he's coming over to punish me. And so I'm like thinking he's going to just be a fucking asshole. But he puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, listen, I understand it's not easy, but we're here now. This is what we got to do. If we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. So just do your best and, you know, try and get through the next couple days. So I, you know, gathered myself and I was like, all right, you're right, whatever. And he still wasn't nice to me after that. He was still a dick. And I got a pretty bad punishment for that also. I think I had to stay like an extra month on the base. Not that base, but like in general. I had to stay an extra month in the Army, like without being able to go home. You know, because you get every couple of weeks you get to go home for like 2 or 3 days. It's like a break kind of. And I didn't get that, and it fucking sucks, dude. When you have to stay for extra time. You know, I think people are gonna watch these videos and gonna be like, "Man, the Army doesn't sound as bad as I thought." But who knows? They'll just accuse me anyway. They'll be like, "You're a child killer. You kill babies." I didn't kill any fucking babies, my dude. I killed exactly 0 babies in my military service. I killed exactly 0 women in my military service. I didn't even kill any men. I didn't even shoot my fucking gun, bro. And I was a fucking infantry, you know, grunt. I didn't shoot a single fucking bullet in live combat. It's pretty gay. So yeah, so that was Nablus. It was pretty shit. And then, okay, so once you finish the first year in the military, then you go and you do kind of like an alternating, you alternate between going and serving at a base where all you do is just guard. You guard the base, basically. Like, you go to the base and you guard the base. And that's your whole purpose there. And by guard, I mean you sit in a fucking tower and you look for, you know, attack helicopters coming to kill everybody, or tanks, or like some commando coming to shoot everyone with a fucking machine gun. It never happened. For me, it never happened. And it statistically doesn't happen. Like, when's the last time Hezbollah came and fucking rolled up with tanks? Like, that shit doesn't happen. So it's just, it feels pointless. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? So we alternated between going and guarding a base and going and doing training exercises. Training exercises would be like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, depending on the size, depending on how many other units were involved. And they were both shit. They were like, neither of them were fun, but if I had to choose, I would absolutely choose the training exercises, because you're at least able to move around and do something. And when you're just guarding on the base and you literally, your job is to just stand there and stare for 8 hours at a time every single day, you want to fucking blow your brains out. And not only are you standing and staring at nothing for 8 hours a day, but it's a 24-hour gig. So, you know, you might go and guard for 4 hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And then you have 6 hours off. And then at 8 p.m., you have to go for another 4 hours. And then you have 6 hours off. So that means you got to wake up at 6. You got to go fucking do it again. And people are guarding at all hours of the night. And so it just sucks. Your sleep schedule's all fucked up. You're not able, you don't get a full night's sleep. Like, a full night's sleep? Are you kidding? What's that? You go years of your life without a, well, it's an exaggeration. Sometimes you get a full night's sleep. Like, one way to avoid guard duty in the military is to volunteer for kitchen duty. I did this as often as I could. Nobody wants to do kitchen duty because it's a lot of work. You got to go, it's an all-day thing. You do 3 meals. So you have to wake up early and you're going in there and you're cutting the vegetables and you're cooking the eggs and fucking all the meals are done, and you got to wash all the dishes of the whole base and all this shit. And you got to do that 3 times a day. Now that sucks, but One thing that's good about it is that you get to sleep all night without being woken up for guard duty. And you get to do that the night before and maybe the night after. I'm not sure. At least the night before. The night before, they're not going to make you do guard duty. So that's number one. And number two, you don't have to do any pointless, boring training exercises. Like, I mean, maybe that would have been good to do the training, but the patrols, I guess, is really what it is. You don't have to do any stupid patrols, and you don't have to do any stupid, like, so the thing with the military is that there's just not a lot to do, right? Even now, with what's going on in Gaza, you don't have the whole fucking military in Gaza. Like, there's a bunch of people standing around right now with nothing to do. And when you have nothing to do, the commanders are not going to be like, okay, everybody, just like go watch TV and go hang out and go swipe on TikTok and like, we'll call you in a couple days when we need something. No. They keep your ass fucking busy all day, all the time. So like, let's say you are on the base and there's nothing to do. They're going to call you up. They're going to be like, okay, in 15 minutes, everybody needs to be standing here at attention. We've got something to do. And we're like, man, what the fuck is there to do? There's nothing to do. And so we go and we stand at attention, and the commander will take us out to like some giant open field in the middle of nowhere. Fucking nothing in that field. Field hasn't been used in months. And there's weeds in the field. And the commander's like, okay, everybody, get your shovel, and you are going to pull all of these weeds until they're all gone. And there's like hundreds of weeds there. And it's not, pulling the weed is not, it's not this like skinny little leaf that you pull out. Like, this shit has roots. You got to take your shovel and fucking dig that shit in there and really like work hard in the sun, in the heat, to pull out some weed that is, there's no reason to pull it out anyway, because who the fuck cares? But that's just the type of shit they're going to make you do. And they're going to make you do that until all the weeds are gone, or until enough time has passed that like, okay, now it's time for dinner, or now it's time to go do some other fucking training exercise. So they just make you do that shit just to kill time. That's one of the things they make you do. Another thing they make you do in the army when there's nothing else to do and they want to keep you busy is they'll make you paint something or repaint something. I remember we were on a base. So there's this base called Matzpash, which is like, you have Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. They all kind of meet at this one point. And this base called Matzpash is on a giant mountain. Like, this mountain is so high, it's above the fucking clouds. Like, we would go outside sometimes, and you go outside and you're looking down at clouds. It was that fucking high. It was freezing. We're on this base, Matzpash. It's built into a fucking mountain, like James Bond type shit, and there's nothing to do. There's guard posts. You have to go stand at the guard posts, and there's kitchen duty that you have to go do. And sometimes commanders will take you outside on a patrol in the snow. No snow gear. Oh, no. You're not wearing snow gear. You're wearing your fucking normal military uniform, and it's like 10 degrees outside. And so you go, you're walking around, whatever. Anyway, the point is there's nothing to do. So when there was nothing to do, and the base is huge. Oh my God, it's fucking James Bond villain hideout type huge, except not as technologically advanced. It's like from the 80s or something. So when there's nothing to do, the commanders be like, okay, everybody meet here in attention in 10 minutes. And they'd bring buckets of paint and fucking paintbrushes and rollers. And they'd be like, all right, this corridor, that corridor, this room, you guys are going to go paint that entire thing bright red. And it's like, it has a coat of blue paint on it. So you have to go and fucking paint the whole thing for no reason. Zero reason at all to go and do this. But like, they want to keep you busy. They want to have you doing something. They can't let your discipline slip. And so in order to keep you busy and keep you doing shit, they got to make you do dumb shit. But I had I would say overall my unit was like, there was one unique thing. There were two unique things about my unit. Number one is that everybody in the unit was kind of an asshole. Like, everybody, I mean, we were all kind of assholes, but we all kind of got along pretty well and managed to work together very well when it was time to actually do anything. And the second thing, which I thought was interesting, is that we were like one of the only units that never hung out with each other when we were out of the army, right? You hear people talk about the army and like, oh, you'll meet friends for life and you'll go and stay friends with them forever and you'll hang out with them when you're out of the army and blah, blah, blah. Like nobody, I mean, maybe there were like one or two people that hung out here and there. And some of the other American guys, we would hang out because we lived on the same kibbutz, but it wasn't very common. But we were such a good unit that anytime we were going and doing a training exercise, the joke would be like we would be driving to get to the training exercise and we would pass this giant mountain, and the joke would be like, oh yeah, that's the hill that's the hill our unit has to climb, ha ha ha, because they would always give us the hardest task. I guess it wasn't that funny. So I remember like maybe a year and a half into the service, we got a new officer, and this guy, Sagi, this dude was like the biggest. So he had come from a very, well, not very special. He had come from a special unit called Palsar, which was like, these guys, I guess Palsar, you would say they're like, what are they like? Rangers, maybe? No, Rangers are more of like meatheads. Well, let's say Green Beret. Not Green Beret, but like as serious as a Green Beret. That's what this guy was. And he came in and he was our officer. And we're in infantry, dude. We're not out there fucking catching bin Laden. You know what I mean? We're guarding guard posts and like maybe doing training missions where we run up a hill and fucking shoot into the distance and that's it. We're fucking cannon fodder. But this guy thought he was in charge of a unit of Green Berets, and he would make us do the most fucking, like, so much discipline that he had us do, like the stuff that he had us do, no other unit of our level would have to do. I'll give you an example. So one day, all right, so we fucked up here for sure. So we're on this base, Matzbash, which was built into a mountain. And one of the things that officers will have you do is they will randomly call out your unit to check your gear. And one of the things, they check all kinds of stuff. They'll call everybody to attention and they'll be like, oh, you're missing the case for your helmet, or like you have two canteens that are on your vest. And like they'll open the canteen and they will make sure that not just that it has water, right? It's not enough to just have a canteen that has water. Like it needs to be full of water. Like if there's this much water missing, you get in trouble, right? That's how fucking insane this guy was. You have to have all the bullets in your magazines and all this shit. Fine. So he calls us all to attention one day. He calls an inspection. And we're so depressed on this fucking base. You don't see the sun. It's freezing. All you're doing is guard duty and kitchen duty. And we were there for 5 months in the wintertime. It's on a fucking mountain. And we all hated it. It was terrible. So this guy calls an inspection. And because we were so over it, like your discipline is going to slip, right? You're not going to like do everything you're not going to fill up your water bottle all the way every time. Cause like you're going and guarding. You've been on the base for 2 weeks. You're going and doing your 18th 6-hour shift in the little bunker, fucking staring at nothing, snow for fucking 6 hours. And you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck that. What do I need so much water for anyway? So he calls us to attention. He checks everybody's shit. Everybody fucks up. And not just fucks up a little bit. Like, nobody has anything. Like, one guy's missing his water bottle. One guy has no water in his thing. One guy, you're supposed to have 6 magazines. One guy has, like, 2 magazines. He's like, where's your fucking, where are your mags? He's like, I don't know. On my bed? Like, and so he's fucking pissed. And so what he does is he goes and he gets the entire units, everybody who's not on guard duty. And he's like, okay, I'm going to punish you all right now. What you're going to do, I want you to meet me outside. And it's like 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. or something, butt ass early in the morning. And it's freezing. We all had gloves and hats and all this stuff. And there's this thing in the army that they make you do called Matzavstein, which is basically push-up position, but at full extension. So you're at the top of push-up position. So we go outside and he takes us into the snow. And he's like, okay, everybody, I want you to take off your gloves and I want you to get into Matzavstein. And we're all kind of like looking around at each other like, okay, it's freezing already. And you want us to put our hands on the snow to punish us or something? And we do that. And like, when you have your hands on snow or on ice, they're going to go numb and then they're going to start to hurt really bad. So long story short, he kept us there for, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. And eventually guys were just like, you know, we're not doing this anymore. They would get up and some guys started crying. It was just because it fucking hurt. And then he ended up getting in trouble. He was just way too much of a hard ass dude. He was a fucking asshole. I tried to be nice to him because I understood that he was like, I understood what he was trying to do. I understood that he was trying to build us into better soldiers and give us more discipline. And to be honest with you, all the fucked up shit that he did to us actually worked to make us better soldiers. Because number one, we all kind of banded together against him because we fucking hated him. And number two, all the extra discipline, it actually did force us to become better. We did pay attention to more little things that we, you know, had to deal with. Yeah, military fucking sucks, bro. Yeah, it's shit. Anyway, I'm done. We'll talk about it more later. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace.